All right, so today's live stream is going to be really simple. Our goal is to help a agency that's struggling with a $1 million a month problem, $12 million a year problem. And the whole problem is around the training, the sales scripting, and the life cycle of getting a new lead in the door all the way to a booked appointment. So what we're going to do is focus on using our software and solve this problem for them. So we use Formula 100 Premium Systems as a software just because it's got just these amazing templates inside of it, and it has most of the workflows and the automations in there. So the first thing that we're going to do is go grab a copy that's already built somewhere else and duplicate it for a different person. Okay, so we've got a copy of it that we already helped another client, but that copy is actually just a little bit, it could be done better, right? So what we're going to do is take this copy right here. We're going to copy it over to another sub account. And the sub account that we're fixing for a different company, what we're going to do is, for us personally, we're going to build it in our core snapshot that we give away to everybody else in the future, so that we've got it built one time perfectly in this place. And now we're going to go over to the other account. And this is going to be a core snapshot that we're using. Okay, so let's just update it. And this is live, so however slow the internet is, or it takes the page refresh, like you're dealing with all of it at the same time. Okay, so what we did was very simply take a snapshot from another account that we built, and we're going to use this as a core snapshot template for everybody in the future. The way that the snapshot works is pretty basic. On step one, we're going to put a tag in here, and the tag is going to be called call center. Okay, so just an easy way to keep up with all of these workflows. I know what we did because, you know, we built it, but if we're building it for somebody else, they may not know what the tag means. So when you come in and you label the name of them, you make it easy to find for other people. Okay, so now we're going to say that the first step is, if somebody gets a tag added called call center, then it's going to trigger this first action right here. So always come up here and hit save. And the very first action is, it's going to do a manual call, and then I name it just so that we can keep up with the whole feature. Manual call on day one. So just in case you move it down here and it starts getting into day 2 or day 3, and you want to keep up in your mind mentally how many calls this is, you can do it by day 1, the very first of all calls. There's another way that you could do it, and you could literally just call it manual call number 1. And if you know that you're going to do 13 phone calls, you can just simply do it like this, and it doesn't have to be broken down into days. I choose to do it by day 1 because I don't want to burn this person's phone number and have them attempt to call somebody 13 times on day one and then just spam out and burn the phone number, lose their A2P compliance. I assume everybody knows the words that I'm saying because you're already familiar with Go High Level. But if you're not, each phone number that Go High Level allows you to use has to be regulated, and it has to pass an inspection to stay current. If it goes into a derogatory or a negative phone number, then you can actually lose your privileges to continue to call or message somebody. So I track day one, and I don't want to call too often. So I wait about 3 more hours to call again. And you'll notice here, we built a time delay, and I named it. I'm going to wait 3 hours, and I'm going to come here and I'm going to select 3 hours. And depending on if you're working on the weekends or not, you could technically add the weekends in here, but we're going to start a default setting that you're not going to work the weekends unless you choose to. So on Monday at 9 a.m., this workflow, right, named workflow, will be available to begin calling. Hit save. Save. Okay, so we're going to wait 3 hours, and then we're going to do manual call number 2. But here's the problem. If I were to look and see how did I know that I've already made one phone call or not made a phone call, how do we track that? And so the second thing that we're going to work on while we're building up the phone call is what happened from the phone call. So we're going to go back into the demo account. And we're going to look for the snapshot, the core snapshot. And we're going to look at the pipelines that we've built for these people. Okay. So you'll notice that it's missing a pipeline to connect everything. Now, unfortunately, we're not able to import a pipeline. So we have to build it from scratch. What we're going to do is make this call center, and we're going to do the stage name as call number 1. We're going to add a stage, call number 2. And let's keep a space in there. Call number 3. And I'm going to continue to build this all the way to the very end, but you can get the idea that this pipeline is going to be call center, and it's going to be able to track if we've made call number 1, call number 2, how many calls have we made to this one person. Okay. So we're going to come here and we're going to add a tag. It's very simple. If you use the search bar, you can look for tag, hit add contact tag, and then it either is built already, or you can just simply build it for the very first time. Okay, so call number 1 isn't built, but we just built it. Now, again, one of the things that I like to do, call number 1, is go ahead and label the tag so that you know what tag is being added. And just like that, when the person gets the phone call, it's going to add a call number 1 right on the spot. Well, the next thing that I want to do is update the opportunity. So I'm going to go and find the call center pipeline. And since this is call number 1, I'm going to find the stage that's known as call number 1 stage and put them in right here. Okay. And for the opportunity's name, you can go to contact and you can put their full name right here. You can add their phone number, or you can even add their phone number and their email. So what I like to do is overload the system with too much information. So now I know that this person that I called has this name, phone number, and email. And when I'm connecting this to my contacts or my opportunities, I'm making sure that all of these fields are updated and available. If I need to know where this came from, it may have been a lead that came from one of our ads campaigns, and we just need to know what UTM that it came in through. So I've already got this line of code here, but you'll notice that this is a contact code, right? So it's in the contact area. And it is a custom field that we went and we built it. And the custom field is down through here, known as our UTM source. So if you haven't built this custom field, this is just something that it takes a little bit to do, but we're not going to focus on that custom field just yet. But it's the source code. And then we're going to put the value of the lead that came in here, right? So you can build a custom value if this is a final expenses lead or an IUL or a mortgage protection or an annuity. You can have all of these custom values in here, or you can just simply put a dollar amount. Now, we don't know. This is a family first life agency owner. So their commission rate is about 110% per agent and 145% commissioning for the agency owner. So we know that if they're writing a standard final expense policy, that their average is about $1,100 on their final expense policies. And we're going to put that dollar amount in here. The status is this is an opened opportunity with a chance to make a sale. And then once we log that sale, we can move it to win, or we can move it to lost. Or if we haven't followed up with them in a long time, we can even move it to abandoned. And then we can filter out a new criteria based upon how many leads have been abandoned. But for now, we're going to start with this lead is opened. And then we're going to keep this off because we do not want this to move back to stage 1 once we've called them a second time or a third time or a fourth time. We don't want them to move back. Okay. So all of this is happening right here. And what'll happen as soon as we make this phone call, ring, 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 a tag gets added that we've made one phone call. Call number 1 took place. Then it gets moved to the pipeline. Call number 1 took place. And then it's going to wait 3 more hours before it does manual call number 2. Okay, so you'll notice that it's going to wait. Now, what we've got to do is add all of these steps to call number 2 now. So the fastest way to do that is to hit copy this one action, and copy it here. And so now this updated opportunity is here, but we're going to have to move the stage. Pipeline is the same, call center, call center. The stage is now going to be number 2 because we've made a second call and we want this to be a second call. Well, we want the tag in here also. So we're going to go here and we're going to copy this tag. Let's go ahead and save. And we want to copy this tag one time. And we're going to keep it above, just like we did here. So we're going to be manual call number 2, copy it right here in the middle. Okay. Now we're going to update this, and we're going to call this call number 2. We're going to delete call number 1 because that's already happened. Call number 2. Now it doesn't exist. We're building it for the first time. So we're going to add this new tag. We're going to hit save and save it the whole workflow now. Okay. So what happened just then is we waited 3 hours and we did call number 2. We added a tag, call number 2 tag, and we updated call number 2 in the pipeline. Right? So if you wanted to get really, really, really clean, right? So we can delete that because we're not creating it. And we're updating an opportunity to stage call number 2. So it's going to update this call number 2 stage in the pipeline, and everything else can stay the same. We don't need to change any of it. We hit save. What that looks like on a user's end is this call center. We started with the first person was going to be right here. And then they moved over to number 2. And they're about to move over to number 3. So what I'll have to do is create all of these stages in order to keep mapping it out. I don't want to bore you guys having to watch me map all of this out. So I'll go to the first 7. And then I'll show you how quick it is to duplicate these first 2 steps and make it really fast down here at the end. Now, from this point of view, now that we look at the call center, what we're going to expect is that the user, the contact, is going to be listed right here. Their name, their phone number, their email is going to be listed right here. And it's going to show any tags that they have or any UTM where the lead came from. And then right after we make call number 1, it's going to move the person into call number 2. And we'll demonstrate it by the end of this video. And then what we plan to do is build the whole call center out so that we can get at least 13 attempted phone calls and help them. So now that we've got call centers 1, missed call or manual call 1 and 2 already done, we're going to go down to manual call number 3. So we're going to copy manual call number 2. And put it right below for number 3. And then we're going to make the update. So this is number 3. and we're going to add this new tag for the first time to the account. Now, the other account might have these tags included already, but if this is a brand new account, the tag may not exist yet, so you'll have to build it. Okay, so it's very simple to build, just like that. And then we hit save, and it updated it to call number 3. Hit save again. Okay, so now we're going to update the opportunity, and we're just going to copy this one that's already built, and we're going to put it below call number 3 tag, and where it says copy here. So now we can just update it really quick. We can update the stage really quick, and then everything else stays exactly the same. And we hit save. So you'll notice right below call number 3, the logic behind this is if you started first thing in the morning, the very first call would probably have taken place around your starting time, 8 a.m. in the morning, 9 a.m. in the morning, whatever your starting time is. This is when your first phone call of the day goes out to get to work, right? We strongly recommend 8 a.m., not 9 a.m. So I'm actually going to update this for them, but we may get some pushback from it because they may not have started work at 8. But statistically, an 8 a.m. phone call gets answered more than any other phone call. So we're going to try to do that. Okay. So this phone call took place, and then it has to be at least 8 a.m. in the morning, and it has to be at least 3 hours from the first phone call. Both things have to happen. So it's going to wait for this phone call, whatever time it is. It's going to make sure that it's this day of the week, and it's going to make sure that it's at least after 8 a.m., and it's going to make sure that it's at least been 3 hours since this first action. Okay, so this technically, let's say that this was 8 a.m., this would be 9, 10, 11 a.m. to make the second phone call. So let's assume that the numbers work out, and this is an 11 a.m. phone call, call number 2. Well, then you're going to wait 3 more hours. 11 is now 12, 1, 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and you're going to make call number 3 after 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Now, you could add a 4th phone call on the same day, but 3 phone calls spread out over 3 hours is it's a lot, especially if this is not a very warm lead. You don't want to blow your phone number. You don't want to spam out. So this would be the maximum spacing for it. And again, this is provided that you have received consent to message this person to begin with, and that they've already agreed that you can text them or that you can contact them. This is not a cold calling strategy. This is a warm lead strategy where you already have permission to speak to these people. This is just a fast way to make sure that you've done enough phone calls to get them to show up. Okay, so this would have been about 2 p.m. And then we're going to wait 12 more hours, which will put this about midnight, and then it'll start the next day, right? So now we're moving over to what I'm going to call Tuesday, and it's got to be at least 9 a.m., and it has to be 12 hours from the last phone call. Okay, so this is going to be through midnight, and it's going to start the next day now. the next day of the week. And then we're going to do day 2 worth of calling. Okay, so this is technically day 2, and it's also call number 4 if you're keeping record. Okay, so sometimes you might need a little extra help to keep up with all that. And then we're going to go to call number 5. And this would be call number 6, call number 7, call number 8, right? So you can see that all of this is built, but notice that we don't have the tags, and we also don't have how to update the pipeline. So what we're going to do now is take this step and all the steps below it, and we're going to delete. We're not just going to delete this first one. We're actually going to delete all of them. Every single one of them. And it's going to ask, am I sure? Yes, I want to delete all of them. Now, here's why we're going to do that. Instead of rebuilding the whole second half, now that I've got a day 1 finished, all I really need to do is copy day 1 in every single action below day 1, copy all of it, and add it on day 2. Okay, so I'm going to have to update it. This is now day 2. This is now call number 5. Nope, this is going to be call number 4, because we did 3 phone calls on day 1, and this is going to be the very next phone call, the 4th phone call on day 2. So now I'm just going to delete the tag, call number 4, add it, save it. So it's going to look like call tag number 4. And if you really want to make sure that all of your descriptions look the same, all of your naming conventions look the same, you can, do it. Anything that you need to remember at a glance what is taking place, right? So yes, this is day 2, and this is also call number 4 that took place on day 2. Okay, now you can decide how detailed you need it to be. We're assuming that since they didn't build it, they need all the help that they can get to understand our naming conventions, right? So we're going to make it call on day 2, and it's also call number 4. So it's the most amount of detail that we can give this client and help them to understand what this is. Okay. So now this one was based off the first one. So this is the only one that we'll have to fix. This opportunity is call number 4. And it's not on here right now. So I'm going to hit save. And then we need to make sure that we built it. Yeah, we built it there. And the only thing I need to do is save, make sure it's saved, and refresh. So now I'm going to have call centers 4, 5, 6, and 7 on the days that are coming in. We're just waiting real quick for the sub account to load. And just double check. Yeah, so we built out 7. And the only thing I'm going to do is focus on Getting us past day number 1. Call 1, 2, and 3 took place on day 1. Calls 4, 5, and 6 are going to take place on day 2. And then day 3, it will be 7, 8, and 9. Okay. And sometimes if you got too many tabs open, you might just need to refresh to get the date in there. Sorry about the delay on the app itself. Normally, if we're editing a video, we're not going live. You can edit out some of the downtime and not waste people's time. But it looks like this occasion, we're really buffering over here. Yeah, we're definitely still buffering. So I'm going to try again just to see if it will refresh. And if not, I'll maybe move this one over to automations. See if we can get it over there. We are definitely having problems refreshing the screen. Okay, so unfortunately, this is sometimes what happens when you're going live. There's nothing we can do about this part. I'm sorry about the delay. I do apologize. It wasn't in the script. Wow. So I'm trying to see if we can log in to the other account and get it in there. If it's going to let us in. All right, so we're running into it again. So I'm just going to go ahead and log out of that one. And we shut that tab down. I don't think I've got it opened anywhere else. Maybe I've got it open too many tabs. And I'll just check back and see if we've got anybody watching right now. Any questions or comments on here? No, not yet. All right, so I'm going to do it a different way. Let's grab it, log back in. Wow. I have not ran into this problem in a while. Sometimes this happens. This is part of what a workday looks like, building out SaaS accounts for other people. Sometimes it's out of your control. Not much you can do about it. Well, while this is thinking, let's see if I can find wow. It just keeps resetting me. loop. Okay, so while that's happening, what I'm going to do is explain the logic behind the call center. Okay, so we didn't come up with this data. It was actually a big case study took place nationally for all sales departments. And what they uncovered was you really need to call people at least 12 times or 13. Leave one voicemail per day. And then if you can call them at minimum of 6 calls at the right time on the right day, you actually have a 90% chance of reaching them. But if you can get it all the way out to 12 or 13, you have virtually 100% chance. Another thing that we notice is that 80% of all sales are made between the 6th and the 12th attempt. Okay, so this isn't my case study. This is a national case study, and I'll show you where we pulled this data from. Okay, calling at the right time of the day can double your chances. Calling from different numbers can help, and calling on the right day of the week can do it. So what we realized was if you call 3 times on day 1, and you call 2 more times on day 2, and you call another time on day 3, that your first 6 phone calls have taken place within the first 3 days to get a 90% chance of them answering the phone. If you continue to do the next 12 or 12 in total, you'll still have about an 80% chance. Okay, so some of those tips are: we're making the assumption that you have the right person, that it's the right person, the right phone number, the right contact. That it's not scam, it's not a spam. You're not cold calling a blank list and tricking them or anything like that. These are real people that gave you consent with their name, their number, and you're calling. Okay. So number 2 is really just use your first name. You don't actually have to go into detail. Hi, I am Travis Pace, and I'm with Wealth Financial Investing Group. They don't know the difference between saying you're Travis or that you're Travis Pace, right? They don't know the difference. They're like, am I supposed to know you? Nope. I'm just Travis. I'm just introducing myself, right? If you're shaking hands with somebody at the mall, you say, hey, I'm Travis, right? And they don't know your company name either, unless you're very well branded and you've given out your company name. So just, hey, this is Travis. Am I speaking to Mr. Smith, or am I speaking to Betty Smith? If you ask them, how are you doing? They can say an objection, right? And you don't have anything to really work on to say, oh, well, I wish you were having a good day, or I wish you a better day, or I'm so sorry how bad your day's going. Oh, that's unfortunate. I didn't think you were going to tell me you're having the worst day of your life. I'm so sorry to hear that, right? So how are you is a side objection that you're introducing into the conversation that you can avoid it altogether, right? You're not calling there to find out how their day's going. You think you're asking them, how are you, to show compassion and empathy and that you're caring. But it's really just creating an objection. Number 4 is just don't pause, right? Pausing creates that awkward silence, and it gives them another chance to insert the objection. Also, pausing shows a real lack of confidence that you intended to call them, that you know that you're talking to the right person, or that they're the right person to buy your insurance, right? So when you call, you're almost like a place of authority. Uh, hey, Mr. Smith, this is Travis. The purpose of my call is to respond back to you on the form that you filled out for life insurance. I've got your information as your name is this, your phone number is that, your email is that. And on the form, you put that you're looking for this type of coverage, you have this type of budget, and your biggest concern right now is this problem. And if we can get it solved, you're going to leave this amount of money to your beneficiary who is that. Does that information sound correct to you? And then you begin to talk. Okay. Then calling tip number 5, sell a drop-off time. All right. Your only objective when you're calling this lead is to actually get in front of them. You're not fact finding. You're not saying, well, can I get your date of birth? Can I talk to you about your health? Can I give you a quote? Right. Your only real thing is make sure that they're at the real appointment that they want to. Now, if this is a one call close, then you can do everything in a one call close and skip number 5. But if this is your first time talking to them, you just want to introduce yourself. You want to make sure that they're interested in buying your type of life insurance, and that when you set up the real meeting, that you're able to go over everything that you need to on the real meeting. So this is assuming that you're only calling to acknowledge that they filled out a form and that you've got them on radar and that you're ready to schedule that real meeting. Again, if this is a one call close, then you want to skip this and go straight through your one call close. Right. So if you're going to set an appointment, you can see here below how you can set that appointment. And then your pitch, you're either going to drop a voicemail, you're going to drop an email to the same person, and you're going to drop a text message to the same person. Okay. Now, if you do this, this is the best practices according to the research done by James O'Droyd, who's at MIT, and who's also David Elkington, the CEO of InsideSales.com, right? So they are the ones who did this gigantic case study, calling over 100,000 people, 15,000 unique leads over a 3-year period. What they determined conclusively is the best day of the week's Thursday, next best is Wednesday, next best is Friday, Monday is almost the worst, and Tuesday is the worst day of the week to be calling people. This is a 3-year study, over 100,000 different calls to get these answers. Okay, so the contact response time is the number one indicator if it's a warm lead or a cold lead. Okay, there's no such thing as buying a warm lead off of Facebook third party, because they fill out a form, they give it to a lead vendor tries to get in touch with them, and then they share that over to you after the fact. Well, minutes possibly have went by, or maybe even an hour, and it definitely, if it's been 24 hours, it's not a warm lead anymore. So if you're buying leads and they say that these leads are good within the last 24 hours, you're buying a cold lead. It's just as cold as buying a cold lead. Now, the chances that somebody has sold them a policy isn't as good, because cold leads that are 60-day, 90 days old, they've probably had 5,000 agents call them trying to sell them insurance. So if it's 1 day owed, maybe there's just a few hundred agents that have called that person trying to sell them a lead. What we focus on is personal lead generation, so that you know directly you're the only person that got that lead, you've got the form, and that you can respond to them within 30 seconds. 1 minute, you can already be on the phone with them from the time they filled out the form. So after 5 to 10 minutes, it goes from an 80% chance to a 20% chance of that person picking up the phone. And it happens within 5 to 10 minutes. It's very quick, and you will get a cold lead 10 minutes after you paid for a lead. 10 minutes later, it'll already turn cold. It's a big number. Everybody needs to understand that. Then focus on the time of the day as well, right? So 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. is a great call time. 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. is the next best call time. But if you're going to start first thing in the morning, you want your 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. to be the first call time, first thing in the morning. The worst time of the day that you can make a call is between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. And however, over 30% of leads actually get forgotten about, they get abandoned, they never get called. And another way of looking at it is this InsideSales.com. You're able to go pull this graph and the data and go see everything for yourself. But if you get a chance, you want to call on Thursdays, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., and then 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. If you do it first thing in the morning, followed by Wednesday, by Friday, by Monday, and then least of all would be a Tuesday. And definitely do not be calling, don't waste your time between 11 and 3. The next thing that we understand is if you can call them within the first 5 minutes, you can get 90% to answer the phone. After 7.5 minutes, you only get 60% to answer the phone. After 10 minutes, you only get 20% to answer the phone. So you lose 80% of your warm lead within 10 minutes. And then after 15 minutes, you lose 90% of your warm lead. It happens that fast, and there's nothing anybody else can do about it. So don't blame your lead vendors for giving you shitty leads or bad quality leads. It could be a perfectly good lead that have real intent and real everything. But because you didn't call them within 10 to 15 minutes, you have a terrible chance. Because you didn't call them within the first 5 minutes, you lost out. First 7.5, you lost out. But the next thing that you'll notice here is that 40% of the people make the very first phone call. 25% of the people make a second phone call. 15% make a third. 10% make a fourth. Only 5% of the people make a fifth phone call, and 2% of all the reps make it to the sixth phone call. Okay, so 80% of the sales take place right here, and only 2% of the people do it. 80% of the sales, and only 2% do it. All right, so that's gigantic. And then only 1% make it to a 12th phone call. But if you cannot get them in the first 5 minutes, the next thing that you have to do is call them 12 times, right? It's the only way to get back to a 90%, 95% success rate. This is why we're focusing on the call center. And it looks like we're still not logged in over here. This is completely out of my control. So I might stop the video a little short and just have to record this section and show the recording of it down the road. But the attempt is to go in there and update every one of those stages in the pipeline, duplicate day 1 to day 2, and then duplicate day 2 to day 3, day 4, day 5. And so that you have an entire week full of phone calls, logging 15 call attempts. And after you've done 15 call attempts, you'll have a 95% chance of getting it in there, right? So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just really focus on explaining that after your 12 call attempts, you have a 90 to 95% chance of getting that person into the insurance. And that's where 80% of the sales are going to take place. All right. So recap. Step one, get your own lead generation and let them come in the door immediately and call them within 5 minutes. And if you can get in touch with them within the first 5 minutes, then you'll be able to have a 90% chance they pick up the phone. Then you just got to go through your script. After 10 minutes, you only have a 20% chance. You lost 80% of your leads are gone, wasted, blown money, right? Just consider it like you burnt that money on fire. But after you call them 6 times, you get another 80% back. And after you call them 12 times, you get 90% back. And if you can follow those steps, then you will absolutely increase your chances of making a sale by 90, 95%. And again, only the top 1% of the people do it. Only the top 5% of the people make the 6 phone calls. Everybody else is like the 25% of the people only make 1 or 2 calls, and then they skip over, they get busy, it's over. Right. So having a system in place that allows you to make all 12 phone calls, track and tag every phone call along the way, and then create a dashboard so that you can monitor it on a dashboard and see where you're at. It will be the best way that you can ensure that you're going to have the most chances to make a life insurance sale. Hope this helps, and I'll see you guys on the next video.